Okay, Iloto, here's the deal. In my previous videos, I have built a lot of various factories. I have showcased a lot of different factories. And yeah, I pretty much covered almost every single item that there is, including a Wuling Mega Base. So today we're gonna be doing something different. There is currently a Discord event for the best blueprint happening. And what I wanted today is I'm gonna pick the top 10 best performing blueprint posts, right? When it comes to performing, it's kind of difficult to measure, especially when it's posted in Discord. So the way I'm gonna be doing is essentially the ones that have the most reactions on the original post. We're gonna be reviewing those blueprints, and we're gonna be seeing what the community has managed to come up to. Unfortunately, I'm not able to leave all of the codes in the description. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave 10 links to all of the blueprints in the description. The links will be to the exact Discord post. So if you do want to visit and copy the codes from one of the blueprints, you can easily go into the description and use that Discord link, right? Because yes, I wanted to post it, but unfortunately, believe it or not, there's so many codes that it don't actually fit into the description because it actually hits the character limit if I tried to post it. Trust me, I tried this. So yeah, we're gonna be going into this and we're gonna see the best of the best, the 10 best blueprint that the community has to offer. Let's go. Thank you for coming to the interview. Please introduce yourself. Hello, I am Farmita, and I bought a gacha pack at full price. So tell us, how did your life change after this event? Well, it all started when I went to my kitchen and I realized that I pretty much had to eat bread for the remaining of the week. In fact, the other day I went to the store and they wouldn't even let me in. They thought I was there for a job interview. Looking back on it, is there anything you would have done differently? Well, I suppose one big thing I would change to would be to purchase all gacha packs from TopUpLive, today's sponsor of the video. So TopUpLive offers amazing deals for plenty of gacha games at your disposal. You can buy various Endfield items for much cheaper prices than the in-game store to save you hundreds of dollars easily. And if Enfield is not your choice, there are plenty of titles for you to find. The platform is safe and reliable, and in case you run into any issues, they offer 24/7 customer support. On top of that, if you use the code FARMITA, make sure that it is all in lowercase at checkout, you will also save an additional 12% off. Make sure to click the link in the description and try it out for yourself. And at number 10, we have one of the decorational blueprints, and that is the safety cat. I mean, here's the deal. This blueprint isn't exactly gonna be doing much addition to your factory in itself, right? But yeah, you will see a few of these in this list. Some are better, some are worse, trust me. But yeah, this is a safety cat, right? The link for this is in the description. As I mentioned, this is the top 10 upvoted post in the current event. And yeah, because we do have a lot of space left over, this one does look really, really cool, I have to say, if we turn off some of these quests so they don't disturb us. Yeah, very, very cool looking, and if you have some space in your base, hey, that's a perfect one that you can place, right? I'll give it like a solid 7.5 out of 10. Again, at number 9, we have a post with over 230 upvotes, and that is the compact all endgame mat's best layout, right? So this does have codes for both servers, and if we quickly import it for ourselves and place it out, we'll see what it has to offer. Now, this is just a single blueprint. The way this blueprint works is essentially it provides you most of the sort of like middle materials that are available. I believe this blueprint was a bit of an older one because, as you can see, there's some stuff that isn't as optimized as others, but overall what it does is it takes a relatively low amount of materials and it provides a lot of sort of like not exactly for materials, but materials that you will be using for other final items. Sort of like one crafting away from like the very, very final stuff. So if we look at it, we are making items such as the steel bottle, right? Which steel bottle you can use for other like medications and all of that. Look like a crystal bottle, which I didn't even have before, but it seems like you may need that for something. So yeah, we have crystal bottle. We have the crystal parts, which are needed for zip lines, if I remember correctly. We are also making steel parts, which are used for, I believe, a lot of the buildings. So essentially, not like final items, but items that are very, very useful nonetheless. This looks like there is also just some basic origami happening here. The blueprint itself is very, very compact. Yeah, I'm seeing some protocol stash with I believe this is ferrium bottles as well. There's amethyst parts. So items that are essentially not like final items, but items that you do need for a lot of like buildings and all of that, right? So overall, if you do need a limited amount of materials for various other items, various other buildings, this blueprint is relatively good for that. Okay, and coming out at rank number 8 with just over 240 reactions is the Wuling 100% resource utilization blueprints. Now, these are made for regional development level 4, so until you unlock that requirement, you may not be able to do it. As you know, in Wuling currently it is maxed at level 6, but this will start working once you are at level 4. And the blueprint itself, it does have 4 different codes, and the way these works is essentially these are 4 different blueprints for most of the Wuling materials. So you have a blueprint for Wuling meds, you have a blueprint for cyanide components, you have a blueprint for cyanide generation itself, and then you have the LC Wuling batteries. Now for these blueprints, one thing I want to mention is you will need to manually place the depot access bridges yourself. Now, there is sort of like a positive and a negative in this case. The positive part is that it is way more modular because you're not constrained to a certain location where you can place this, right? And instead you are able to just connect it anywhere where you have this bridge. The slightly worse part is that you will need to manually place this one, and if you have placed it incorrectly, it will not work, but I think that's not a very big issue. So if we check out the cyanide generation, as you can see, it is very, very easy to access. Cyanide itself does not actually need a bridge because it is purely plant-based, but if we look at some of the blueprints that do provide items such as like the SLC Wuling battery or the cyanide components, as you can see, we will need access to our depot bridge, right? Okay, and here we have all of the blueprints working, right? So one thing I want to mention is when you place it, of course, you will need to do a bit of manual setup. So you will need to connect your water to the cyanide production as well as the battery production, right? Because these do need you to duplicate these specific Jinkao or what's it called, Xingzi plants or something like that, right? Essentially, like the Wuling plants. But once you started going, you are able to run these relatively well. In terms of compact and compactness and space, I do have to say that these are very, very decent. For the battery, I believe I built one that is slightly wider, but this is slightly taller. So overall, I would still say that they are very, very compact and will easily fit in your base, even an unupgraded one. I believe it will fit even in I believe the second upgrade. But yeah, overall looks pretty good for cyanide production. Very standard, slightly different recipe from what I go for because I usually feed the plants right into the refining, I believe. Yeah, I feed one plant for 2 carbon. This goes a slightly different way. It goes into the shredder first and then feeds those powders into 2 separate refining units. I mean, both ways work just fine because the recipes are pretty much, in terms of value, identical, right? It just takes, I believe, 1 extra refinery, but again, that's not an issue at all. And yeah, as you can see, this produces 1 cyanide. Another cyanide is being produced in the battery plant. So as you can see,
one is producing here for the battery, so the batteries are working at 100% efficiency. And there is also a grinding unit. For the grinding unit, it actually takes two Cyrenites, like two Cyrenite outputs, so you're not exactly able to run both of these at once, right? Because both of these, both the Cyrenite and the battery, in itself will go at 100% efficiency. However, we simply don't have that much Cyrenite available at the moment to power both of these machines at 100% efficiency. So you can either run this part at 100% efficiency. However, if you do run this, you will need to have two Cyrenite productions built, because the other one is placed in your battery machine. And if you want to build your battery production, then you can place two of these instead, because both of these will have the forge going, and you won't even need the cyanide production or the this what's it called cyanide production itself, right? So yeah, overall pretty good blueprints, I would say. The one small thing I want to mention is that in the battery production there is no way to power up the build itself, right? As you can see next to the battery production, all of it is going into the protocol stash. I believe in this one there is no production for batteries either, so yeah, you will need to have an external source. But the cool thing about this is if you have a lot of Cyrenite saved over from one of your previous builds, you are able to build both of these, and they will run at 100% efficiency as long as you have some extra Cyrenite. However, if you are out of regular Cyrenite, as you know, this will not be able to sustain it if you already have another battery production going. So overall, as separate blueprints, very, very good, but you need to choose which ones you place. Okay, and here's the base that is currently sitting at number 7 based on the upvotes, and this is the flexible Wuling max profit base. Now for this base there are a lot of blueprints in it, so you will need to choose which ones you want to use based on stuff like the items you produce, the power usage you have, all of that, right? But once you find the right fit, this blueprint is truly like one setup and forget it, because it will produce pretty much everything that you need. So it will produce items like the liquid cyanide, which you can use in your bottles to get it manually, because as you know, you will need some liquid cyanide to produce, or rather to clear out the areas with those weird like purple slash that slimes, right? So it produces that. It produces batteries, it produces components, essentially everything that you need, right? The cool thing about this as well is it does have these limiters set in here. So if you want to have, for example, a specific amount of components, right? Let's say you want to have like 4,000 components produced. What you can do is you just set a limit here. Once it has 4,000 of those produced, it will stop producing this, and it will redirect all of the materials for battery production. So it will essentially automatically adjust based on what you need, right? And on top of that, in order to sustain the energy, because with this blueprint, you will most likely run just over the limit needed to sustain this plant. There are also these contraptions that you place at the end of the blueprint, which will allow you to limit the battery usage. Now, I did something similar with mine. I wanted to do a video of it, but I figured that in most cases, it will be used inside a mega base rather than just being used by itself. But there are a few versions of this, and essentially, if you look at the amount of power that you use, and choose the blueprint based on that, it will allow a small, little contraption like this, right? So as you can see, I just ran out of enough power to power this up. However, because one of the batteries powered me up to 100%, essentially this base will be constantly losing power. And somewhere, for me, I believe it was somewhere around like 70%, it will feed one battery just enough to feed my base back to 100%. So yeah, you will need to place the small contraption. You will need to choose one based on how much power you use. But overall, a very clean looking base produces pretty much everything that you need. Do keep in mind that you will need to set up the inputs for this. You will need to manually add the water, manually add the plant here, and add the top into the plant duplicator. But apart from that, everything looks really clean. Oh yeah, I forgot, you will also need to push Sandy here. I'm mentioning this just because if you place this and you have some random items there, the machine will clock otherwise unless you fix it, since it does not have any control ports. Also, if you're seeing this, this is intentional. This is meant to be like this. They do not have to have power. And if you do have power, you do want to make sure that it is in storage mode, because this is done purely for... yeah, I mentioned this is essentially purely for distributing the Therium equally, because at this moment we simply do not have enough Therium to power up one of the... what's it called? One of the... either the Jinkao drink or Yazen syringe machines fully, right? And the issue with that is eventually it will distribute the Therium unequally. So this will essentially, if you feed 2 belts in and 2 belts out, it will equalize the amount of Therium that you are feeding into it, right? So yeah, of course, if you are development level 12, you do want to make sure to go into the regional valley and set up the meta storage transfer. Make sure that is meta storage and not the regular storage. The reason for that is mega storage is creating resources out of thin air, whereas the regular storage transfer will take base from your first base, will take resources rather from your first base. So you don't want to be doing that. You want to make sure that you are running the meta storage. And yeah, overall, once you paste it, I mean, this will provide pretty much everything that you need. Overall, very compact size, I would say. If you look at my base, it is currently max upgraded. There's a bunch of space here. There's a bunch of space here. The seed planters, or rather seed duplicators, you can put in your other base as well. So if you do that, you have even more space here. But yeah, overall, very clean looking, very nicely optimized in terms of power. I'll give it like a solid 9 out of 10. Okay, and for number 6 in our rankings, it will be Valley 4 Max Profit Blueprints that are coming with over 350 upvotes. So yeah, these blueprints are getting very popular by now. And for the blueprint itself, it is overall essentially like a full Valley 4 mega base for maximum production, right? So I haven't done a Valley 4 mega base myself. The reason for that is, here's the deal. People are already making bases where they have full usage of all of the materials. So even if I try to build something, it's not something that I will be able to make like a very compact version or anything like that, because as you can see, even once you have maximum production, there's plenty of space in both your main base as well as your sub bases. So really, I felt like there isn't much to innovate. I might as well just showcase the creators who already did it themselves. But yeah, for this max value base, relatively simple. There are only 4 blueprints that are like fully required, I believe. So the whole base will be in 2 blueprints. There will be a 3rd blueprint, which is essentially just a seed duplicator. So you will need to place a lot of sand leaf in these manually. The HQ is used there as well. One for a bit of Therium output here. And this is the power output. You can see 10,000 power, but this is just for my other bases, so ignore those. For this base, it uses over 4,000, so the 4 batteries feeding there will be enough. But yeah, for the max Valley 4 base, very standard by now. Most of the bases that you will see, especially like the mega bases, will have essentially identical production. So they usually have 3 HC Valley battery buildings producing at full capacity. As you can see, one here, and I believe there was one here as well. All of those getting fed into the protocol stash. We don't need to have like any power going directly from those, since we have a power output here. 4 Telmer banks running at full capacity, no sort of like energy limiters or anything like that. Since again, I mean, you'll have plenty of batteries compared to your Wuling base, so again, it's not exactly as needed to fully limit the power as much. Overall, for the main base, you will need 3 of these blueprints, and then there will be blueprints for your sub base. So in the sub bases, essentially, you want to place 3 of these in each of your sub base, and each sub base blueprint will be producing the bug capsule A or the canned citron, whichever one you need, right? Essentially, the thing with these is their recipes are pretty much identical. The only thing you need to change is the actual plant that you feed. So if you want to have bug capsule A, you feed it the bug flower plants. So you need to have bug flower here and bug flower duplicators on each side. If you want to have canned citron, you simply have to change the input from the bug flower to the citron plant, right? Or the citron seed if you're feeding the seeds into here. But yeah, overall, very simple to switch it up. If you're using for money, it really doesn't matter since it does give identical money as far as I remember. So yeah, overall, very, very clean base, super modular as well. As you can see, there's still some space left on both sides of the HQ, and you do have 4 inputs available, so you can still make some small builds in here. Plus, your main hub base is absolutely massive, and pretty much like half of that is free as well. So yeah, very, very good base. Produces pretty much at full efficiency after you manually start up a few of the seed duplicators. And yeah, very, very good base. If you need some help explaining how to actually place this base, it's not too difficult, but if you are struggling a bit, I do recommend checking the Kiostin's video. He will explain it even better himself, right? But yeah, overall, very, very good base. I would say one of the better ones overall. Okay, and now we are entering top 5 territory, and this is the 6-6 full Valley 4 Outpost template for endgame. Now, when I tried out this template, I have to say, I am very, very, like, extremely impressed. Not because it produces some, like, unheard materials, right? Again, production is gonna be pretty much equal to the previous blueprint that we showcased, right? It's still 18 by 18, so essentially 18 batteries and 18 capsules, right? But what I really like about this is that it produces 1 battery and 1 capsule in a single outpost. So as you can see, this is not the main hub. This is just one of our smaller, I believe it is 40 by 40 outposts, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, 40 by 40. And you are able to product both of these in a single outpost, which means that based on how many resources you have, you can essentially expand it. It's not like you are only able to produce the maximum amount, and if you don't have enough like distribution levels or anything like that, you're stuck with that, right? You are able to easily produce as much as you want. You can do 6 and 6, you can do 12 and 12, you can do 18 by 18, right? And yeah, you can easily just fit as many of these blueprints in a single outpost as you want. And the best part is once you fill all 3 of those outposts, if you go to your main base, you'll notice that this is something unheard of, really, but your whole base, pretty much your whole base, is empty. The only thing you need to have in your main base is this small contraption producing the grinding, not the grinding units, but these dense Originium powders. Now, of course, it's not just one. If you're producing multiple, you will need a few of them. But overall, this is still a very, very compact base. So you'll need that, and you will need a few plant duplicators. If you're only running one is enough, but if you're planning to run 2 or even the full 3, then you'll need a second one of these as well. But yeah, once you set it up, as you can see, there's so much space left over, plus the space left over is next to the depot unloaders, which means that you will have access to so many more outputs in your main base, just in case anything gets added in the future. It is a very, very expandable base overall. So yeah, this one, in terms of Valley 4 bases, I would say is probably one of the most impressive ones that I have seen so far. Okay, and coming in at number 4 is the Plug and Produce blueprint. Now, this one has almost 400 reactions, which, again, we are going into very, very popular blueprints. Overall, for this blueprint, it is not something that you will most likely use in like the end game or something like that, right? But what I really like about this is these are essentially small blueprints, right? They are like, I don't know, maybe like 30 of them in total. I imported just a few of them. But as you can see, they are very, very simple blueprints, sort of similar to what I did, especially once the game just started out. Essentially, what I did is a small blueprint for a single item that you need. And overall, what I like this is that these will be super modular. You can add as many of them as you want. So for example, there's a very simple blueprint if you need some more plants, right? Because early game, I'd say this is sort of like a good early to mid game blueprints, right? Because you will not be able to access all of the resources that you can generate yet. So most of the mega bases sort of will not work at full efficiency for you, right? Or sometimes you might not even have access to some of those items. So these blueprints are very nice if you need a specific item, sort of, again, similar to what you may find on my channel earlier on, right? So for example, let's say I want to duplicate archetype plants, right? I mean, this one is only used for explosives, so you definitely don't need a lot of it. But there you go. You place a small seed duper, place some plants, and it will start producing, right? Again, if you want something like explosives, place a small blueprint, add some plants to it. For explosives, you do need to add either archetype seeds or archetype plants, and it will just produce that into the storage. And there's a lot of these for honestly pretty much every single item that you can produce. There's plenty for bottles, there's plenty for parts, batteries, capsules, everything that you might find, you will be able to find a blueprint for that. So overall, I am a big fan of modular blueprints, so I'll give it like a very solid 9 out of 10. And coming in an honorable third place, our bronze medal finalist in the spirits of the Winter Olympics that are happening right now. And that is another decorational blueprint, actually. So you do get the ability to place this anywhere you want. And this will be the Among Us character. So it is split into two parts. The reason it's split is because, as you know, there is a certain limit of how many facilities you can place. And unfortunately, for whatever reason, each belt, sort of like a control port, each splitter, all of that, is counted as a separate facility. So it is a two-part blueprint. But as you can see, it is a very cool looking Among Us character. For EU servers, it is, I believe, of orange color. For Asia, if I'm not wrong, it might be like white or black colored. Yeah, another decorational blueprint that you can place. And because the main base does have a lot of empty space once you have all the blueprints placed, this is just a small little decoration that you can add to one or more of your bases. And now for another medalist, our second place. This is the High Density Endgame Forgery, which produces 18 HC batteries per minute, 12 per minute of Buck Capsules A, or of course if you prefer the canned citro. Now the cool thing about this one, right, as you can see, 18 and 12 isn't the maximum amount of production that you can do, right, because you can do 18 and 18 very easily if you use more space. However, the cool thing about this blueprint is that everything, pretty much the whole thing, fits into a single main hub base, right? And it is so compact that, in fact, one of the unloaders is even outside of the space. I'll explain how that works in just a second. But yeah, the blueprint itself is 5 parts. All of the codes are attached in there. Now, if you are, I believe the main blueprint is made by an Asia server player. So if you are from the EU, I used the EU codes that were made by another user. However, there were some very small errors. The blueprint itself is fine, right? But sometimes you may not be able to place it. I believe there was like one extra road placed right here, and there was like a few extra roads missing here. So make sure that you can see that once everything is flowing, right? For example, here again, there's like very small errors. I guess it could be because of the facility limit, because I did just hit the cap. So yeah, I would have to delete one of my I don't know, like pylons or something like that. So I'm not gonna do it right now because I don't want to get rid of the system that I have. But yeah, make sure that you have enough facility limit left, because this does use a lot of it. And make sure that all of the bells are flowing. Once all of the bells are flowing, you'll see that everything works just fine. Right, but yeah, again, like as you can see, some, I don't know why. I don't know whether this is an issue with the facility limit or whether the blueprint was pasted slightly incorrectly. But yeah, there were some issues I had to fix manually. But overall, I mean, as you can see, one battery plant here, another one here, third one, I believe, here. And we also have bug capsule one here and another one here. So yeah, 18 and 12 in a single base is very, very impressive. Again, like you can see, like I think this is because of the facility limit, but even though this didn't work even before I placed it, so yeah, you'll need to fix a few of them. Now, let me quickly explain how this works, because if you just try to place a depot unloader, which again, if you just place if you just like place the blueprint and then you want to place another one here, you might not be able to, due to the facility limit, all of that. So what you want to do is, if you see that you hit the facility limit, delete one of those. Make sure to place this manually, because since this is outside of the facility limit, it will not be able to paste it in a blueprint. So even the guide itself mentions that you have to place this manually. So you can place it right here, and even easier option is to just select one existing one, and you can duplicate it or just move it like this. And yeah, you will be able to place, I don't know, maybe you're not able to place when you're, oh, this is the loader, my bad. Yeah, it looks like you may not be able to place it when copying, although I just did just before setting this up, so I'm not sure what happened. But yeah, when you place it, make sure that you select Ferrium as well, since otherwise this will be missing and you won't be able to produce anything there. But overall, for the blueprint, very, very good. I really like how compact it is, just the main base, because I myself have used the main base for the most part for a lot of the production that I do. So yeah, it is very, very impressive seeing how much you can cram into just a single base. And yeah, let's go to the number one, our winner of hopefully this whole contest. And now, the final blueprint, the most upvoted blueprint in the whole contest. It is currently at over 800 reactions, which is almost double of the previous one. In fact, this one is so good that I had to recreate it manually, because no one from the NA and the EU server was even able to do this one themselves, right? Because again, I don't know how. It is overall not a difficult blueprint to create, but yeah, it is a very, very impressive one, and it makes a lot of sort of like very, very innovative materials. And that is the Originium belt endgame edition. And yeah, as you can see, I had to create it myself. And honestly, I have to say this is a revolutionary blueprint. As you can see, it produces a total of nothing, but it is an accessory that you must have in your base. As you can see, it takes out a total of 30 Originium every minute, and in fact, it pulls back another 30 Originium back into your base. So this is by far the most efficient farm. In fact, it is so efficient that you can measure it at infinite efficiency, because it doesn't matter how many of these you place. The efficiency will actually never drop at all, right? So yeah, this is a very, very efficient blueprint. I'm gonna leave it to the creator of this blueprint to allow you to share the code with you, right? Because I believe this is an extraordinary blueprint that truly should win the contest, in my opinion. And no, if you think I am joking, I'm actually not. If you look at it, Originium belt and game blueprint, this is by far the most upvoted Outpost in the whole contest. If we just go back to the whole thing, as you can see, yeah, this is, I believe, was the previous one at 487. So yeah, this is by far the most impressive blueprint that we have up to date. And yeah, as you can see, the system itself is very difficult to duplicate. This is truly a masterpiece. The best way to store Originium, of course, other users include air drying it, air frying it, but yeah, very, very good one. I am truly impressed by this blueprint, and yeah, we've reviewed 10 of the best blueprints in the whole event. Some of them were awesome in terms of production, some of them are awesome in terms of art, and yeah, this one is in its own special, amazing category. Now, if you do want to check some other blueprints, make sure to join the official Arknights Discord. There are plenty of blueprints being posted. Some are for early game, some are for late game. But yeah, a lot of these are very, very good. I myself had a few ideas and a few inspirations for some of these blueprints. I can't even lie. There, right? I didn't, of course, copy them, but I found a few blueprints that really have a good way of utilizing resources. So if you are looking for some inspiration, feel free to check them out yourself as well. And yeah, that's about it. Hope you enjoy and see you in the next one. Peace.